What is up, everybody? This is Brian, the Toyota guy over here at Asheville Toyota, and today I'm going to spend just a few minutes to show you what I think is actually one of the best used vehicles that you can buy. Now, I'm just going to be up front with you. It is not the newest, it's not the most luxurious, it doesn't have any technology features whatsoever, and it is not fast. But what it does have is killer reliability and just an undying nature. So let's just take a look at this thing. And here it is. Hope you weren't too excited about it. This is a 2005 Scion XA, part of the short time frame that Scion was around, where they had the XA, the XB, they later had an XD, they had the TC, and they had the FRS, and I think there might have been one more that I'm missing in there. Oh yeah, the IA, the tiny little thing. Well, this is one of the smaller ones that they had. It was one of the first two vehicles that they sold. When Scion was first created, it was the Scion XA and the Scion XB, and then shortly after came the TC, which was kind of the more sporty version of the three. So let me talk about why I think these things are one of the best vehicles you can buy. All right, so long ago, before I was in the car industry, I actually worked for a parts distributor, and we ran a fleet of delivery vehicles that were mostly the Scion XBs, and we had a few XAs that were running around as well. And the main reasons why we used these so much was because they just had so much room inside them for basically having a small vehicle. They had tons of space inside, especially the big boxy XB. But then probably the number one reason was that these things are absolutely bulletproof when it comes to reliability. It was not uncommon for us to have, you know, vehicles on the fleet that had 200, 300, 400, and we even had a couple with 500,000 miles on them. And that was being cranked up and driven every single day. Now, that was a lot of highway miles. You know, doing parts delivery means you're sometimes going 30 or 40 minutes down the road. It's not just your normal 5 to 10 minute jousts around town. But I can honestly say, from having to manage a fleet of these things and, you know, be working on them as far as repair bills, literally outside of like tires and oil changes and brakes and normal disposables, the only things that these cars ever need is the occasional set of coil packs and maybe like your traditional like battery and alternator. They're just absolutely killer. This one specifically is even better because it has a manual gearbox. All of the ones that we would run in the fleet were automatic. And once we did have cars that would get to usually about 250,000 miles to usually sometimes well beyond 300,000 miles, we would have to probably throw a transmission in there just because they do wear out after enough time. But having a manual transmission, that literally means the only thing you have to worry about over the life of the vehicle is maybe 1 to 2 clutches, which is significantly less expensive than an actual automatic replacement as far as costs go. Now, as you can see on the inside here, this thing is very sparse as far as technology goes. And this isn't just like a lower trim level. This is just how these things were. You had some options where you could get a different CD player or something like that. Sometimes they would have a dealer installed cruise control, but that was not a normal factory offering. And then sometimes you would even have like LED lights or something like that in the cup holders or underneath the seats or something. With the exception of that not being here, there's really nothing that you're missing in this one specifically. Now, as you can kind of see, it's a very basic design, and it's a lot of plastic, which is also what's going to make it kind of reliable and durable because it's just easy to maintain. You just wipe it down with a wet cloth every now and then, and you're good to go. Now, the number one upgrade that I always recommend for any of these Scions is just to go ahead and ditch this radio and throw in something that's a little bit more modern with Bluetooth. You can maybe even spend the money to get one with navigation. As you can see, there's no steering wheel controls or anything fancy going on here whatsoever. But that right there is pretty much wakes this car up and makes it honestly a perfect daily driver. I personally lived in one of these pretty much every day for work. And I always had a bunch of stuff that I would carry around. It was a company car, and having all of these different pockets here, there, a coin pocket or an ashtray there, a little tray here, you know, having the door pockets and all these different little cubby holes you can see where you can put some pens and business cards and whatever else in here. It was just a freaking awesome daily driver. Now, again, it's not going to be fast. This one is a straight drive, of course, which does help with things because at least you're not paired with a 4-speed automatic transmission. But it does okay. I mean, obviously it's a little, I think it's a 1.3 liter engine, so it's not making a ton of power, but it gets really good fuel economy, especially here with the straight drive transmission. And then as you can see here, you actually have a pretty decent amount of room inside of here for a smaller car, especially once you open up the hatchback here. This is where it actually kind of starts to make sense. So you can actually fold these down. You got to take the headrest off. You can fold those down, and they actually fold flat. So really, if you're just using it like a commuter car, you can just put those seats flat, and you've just got like a tiny little station wagon that you can go anywhere with. Now this one specifically, again, is located over here at Fred Anderson of Asheville, basically the Toyota dealership here in Asheville. And the price on this thing is killer. We've actually got it priced right at $6,000, and this thing only has, I think, 110 or 115,000 miles on it. So anytime you look these up on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or eBay or whatever, that's generally the going rate for these things with that kind of mileage. So this is a killer deal on a car that is just not meant to be exciting or necessarily fast or luxurious, but if you just need reliable transportation that will get you from point A to point B to point C forever, literally for years to come, this is the one to have. I promise you there's probably no better car out there as far as just the total cost of maintenance and the cost of ownership. We had a fleet of these. I think we had up to 40 of these at any given time, and we were just scooping them up anytime we could. All right, so what did you think? I imagine somebody thinks there's going to be a better car than this as far as reliability, but really my favorite thing about this is just it's so cheap to own, so cheap to buy, so cheap to maintain. There's almost no better car out there as far as reliability. Now, again, there's way faster cars, there's way nicer cars, there's way newer cars. This is just one of those that this thing is just about as good as condition as can be when it was new. And I promise you, as long as it's taken care of, 10 to 15 years from now, it's gonna still look like this and it's still gonna drive good. So that's it for today. Hope this was fun for somebody. Thanks so much as always, and have a great day.